Hey, welcome back everybody to the Rockstarflipper YouTube channel. Had quite a few requests, including from the one and only Thomas Wilkinson, for a video about some of my neckties. So I'm going to show you a few that I have here, show you some examples of ties that will sell, that do sell, and then I'll show you some of the top brands on my screen. I'll share my eBay screen and show you some of the better sellers. Remember, ties are what we call a long tail item. That means when you buy them, they're gonna take a while to sell in most cases. Some of them will sell quicker than others. Depends on the brand's designer, uniqueness, content, things of that nature. But for the most part, they are gonna take a while to sell. You never know when they'll sell. You might list a tie that you think is a great tie. It might sell in a week, it might sell in a month, it might sell in 6 months. The important thing to remember about ties is don't worry about how long it takes them to sell. Just make sure you have little to no cost in them. And what I mean by that is to buy a bag of ties where your cost ends up being 5 or 10 cents a piece. 100 of them, you end up paying $10. You list them, you sell 1 or 2 in the first week or two, you get the money back, and the rest is just profit whenever it sells. So you're not worried about, oh, I got $20 just sitting on the shelf. You've got no cost in them. So that's what's important, hundreds and hundreds of ties listed, and all of a sudden you end up selling 1 or 2 per day. You're making an extra $5 or $10 a day that you have no cost in. There's actually a seller on eBay who has 21,000 ties. The guy sells like 100 to 150 ties per day. His average cost of goods is probably less than 25 cents, which is what my average cost of goods on ties is as well. I think it's like 15 cents. So let's jump onto some of the ones that will sell. These are a few that I have in stock. Ties are all about being designer, unique, or crazy. Like literally that's it. And so like this is an example of one. This is a bunch of flamingos. This crazy tie, if it's keyworded well enough, you will get $6 or $8 out of this. Now keep that in mind as well, guys. Ties are a $6 to $10 item. You're only going to make $1 or $2 profit, so don't spend a lot of time on ties. Take your pictures, list them, little description. I recommend a tape measure. If you go on my store, you'll see some of the ties we have listed. We take the photo with a tape measure under it, the clothing tape measure, and that gives the person the width of the tie at its widest point. And then you can make a couple bucks. Remember, there's no cost, so whenever they sell, it's fine. But don't eat up your entire day. Don't try listing hundreds of ties a day. If you pick up 4 or 5 ties, you can list them in 10 minutes. Awesome. Other than that, just list them when you have free time. Tabasco, I've sold quite a few of these ties. Again, it's unique, it's different, it's a brand. You guys know the Tabasco hot sauce, kind of cool, something like that. This is an Absolute Courant, Absolute Citron, the Absolute Vodka brand of a tie. Usually I do pretty good on alcohol brand ties. I've sold a Jack Daniel's tie for $10. This is something I'd probably list for about $8, $9. But again, it's a 15-cent cost. Golf ties are really good, guys, and golf ties. Sports teams like the Florida Gators or the New York Yankees, things like that will sell. Disney ties, Disney and Looney Tunes, these ties sell. And this is a Disney, Mickey, Inc. And golf. So this is a really good tie that when we get listed will probably fetch about $8 to $9. Maybe 7, maybe 8, who knows. But 15-cent cost in it. Even if you do, $7 free shipping, you're probably going to put in your pocket about $2.50. So you're going to make a $2.45 profit on a 15-cent tie. It's nothing to get excited about, but it's free money essentially. So if you grab one, or if you can grab the designer ones that you can sell for $12, $14, $15 that I'm going to show you here in a second, and you can make a $10 profit, then even better yet. I see a lot of people get $8 or $10 or $12 out of some of these. I typically just let them go for $7, $8 and just keep bringing in the money. So let's jump over to my eBay screen and I'll show you guys some of the best brands to keep an eye out for besides what I've showed you already. Okay, welcome over to my eBay store, and we're gonna start with Jay Garcia, and that's of course Jerry Garcia. You guys remember him from the band, the Grateful Dead, and he had his own line of neckties. They actually have some actual Grateful Dead neckties. They spell it out, but the Jerry Garcia necktie line, the crazier it is, the more it'll sell for. Typically his ties are $9 to $12. Like that's like the sweet spot of Jerry Garcia ties. But they sell. The name is good, and the crazier, the more expensive you'll get out of it. You can see some of his designs are really crazy, but most of them $9, $10 to $12. Not really going to get more than that out of it. Occasionally you'll see one, but not very. It's just a quick selling brand. All right, second is Hermes, be very careful with these designer brands. They are faked. They're expensive, and they can be not legitimate. So be careful. Let's scroll down. There's an Hermes Paris silk green and yellow red necktie sold for almost $40. There's a $58, $29, I mean $129, $207. You know, I sold an Hermes tie for like $40, $45, so you could definitely get those high prices. Just be very careful. The tags give it away, but they can be faked quickly. Versace, same thing. They can be faked. I sold a Versace for $39. Most of Versace ties will go for between $20 and $50. You'll see some going like $89, but here's the sweet spot: $39, you know, $12, $26, $34, $18, $38. There's another $89. Looks like it's new a tag. $49, new a tags. $49. So that's a cool actual Versace tie for $34. But anyways, so that's about the price range for those. Armani, not a very expensive one, but you can still get $20 to $30 out of some of these. Most of them are going to be $10 to $15. But remember, when you're only paying 10 cents, that's a great price. Giorgio Armani, well-known name and brand. Brioni tie, one that most people may not know about as much, but Brioni is probably a $100 necktie retail. So there it is, 200, 150, 50, 40. Brioni sells, I think last one we sold, we got like $29.99 out of. Next is Robert Talbot. Robert Talbot is another brand that's pretty well known in the men's dress store industry. Looking at about $10 to $15 ties. Sometimes you can get up to 20 for them. Nordstrom's, they're definitely sold at Nordstrom's. There's a couple 30s, some 20s, some 30s, some 45. So there are some Talbots that will go for a little more. It looks like the vintage ones, of course. Louis Vuitton, again, be very careful if you're buying these. Their ties, very expensive, $50 to $100 on almost every tie. Some of them over $100. But just be very careful buying them just like you would a handbag. Scrutinize them. Probably less of these faked, but they still are faked. Burberry, again, they can be faked, but you can get between $20 and $40 for them if they're real. Only sold one of these before. Next would be Ferragamo. Never sold any of these, but they're $20, $30 ties. These coming from Thailand scare me. But Salvatore Ferragamo is a high-end brand. The ones from Italy don't scare me as much. Here's an orange tie dog on leash, 100% silk neckwear, new tag, $155, brand new one. There's a $45 one, $25. Ferragamo expensive, but faked. This one is a big faked one. I've heard a lot of bad stories about Ferragamo. This one you guys may or may not have heard of because of the shirts, but it's Ermenegildo Zegna, and I believe that's how you say it. Ermenegildo Zegna. Ties very expensive retail, but only about 15 to 20 on the used market, but still a good tie to get, maybe upwards of 20 or 30 for some of them. This one everyone's heard of. It's Brooks Brothers, consistent seller, $10 to $15, as long as it's, you know, pictured well, good design. If it's stripes, it'll sell. The solids sell. The colored sell. The glitters sell. They all sell consistent. So just make sure you're keeping an eye out for this stuff. Tasso Elba, Elba is a brand that I like. Typically it's $8 to $10, $12, but it sells immediately. As soon as I list Tasso Elba, it tends to sell pretty quick. So I like it. Anyways, so this is a list of all the brands of ties that I would sell. There's a few other honorable mentions. Yves Saint Laurent will do good sometimes. Christian Dior does okay. But just look for unique, look for classy, look for golf, look for sports teams, look for different, look for, you know, ugly, crazy, that kind of stuff all sells. And of course, look up your comparables. Appreciate you guys watching. Thomas Wilkinson, that was for you, buddy. I know you wanted to see a brands of ties and a tie video, so there it is. Thank you so much for watching. Give the video a big thumbs up. Make sure you keep an eye out for those ties, and we'll see you in the next video.